Welcome to the Impact of Reality. Where we tackle the tough topics of relationships and relational values. I'm your host, L.K. Harris. We at Planners Harvest want you to meet the movers, the shakers, the ones that won't take no for an answer. Meet the drum beaters, the dream keepers, the true believers, the life shapers, the risk takers. We all have dreams, a place where the sun shines on everything we do, where the world recognizes who we are. Let us at Planners Harvest Incorporated show the world what your dreams truly look like. Let us put your dreams on display. Welcome to the Impact of Reality. My name is L.K. Harris, and I'm your host. Today we have a special guest, Chief John Dixon of the Petersburg Police Department. Today we're talking about relationships and relational values. We're going to talk to the Chief today, and he's going to give us a lot of insight on relationships with his team and with the public. So when we get back, we'll be talking to Chief John Dixon. Stay tuned.
So come see us at Murray Automotive, 1731 Dolphin Court, Powhatan, Virginia, 2.5 miles west of 288 and Route 60.
And welcome back to the Impact of Reality. I'm L.K. Harris, and today we're talking with Chief John Dixon. So, Chief, tell us something. How long have you been in law enforcement? I know you're Chief of Police, so you've been in for a while, right?
Yeah, for a long time, okay. Actually, about a little over 33 years now.
Wow. We have some people on our set that ain't been born since. 38 years, that's a lot of time. So how's it been?
It's been good. It's been a good career. It's been an interesting career, and you know, it has its ups and it has its downs, like most things.
Yeah, I'm sure. You started with Richmond, right?
Yeah, I started with Richmond back in the early 80s sometime.
Wow, that was like right out of high school. Something like that, but I'm not going to tell that age. we can go back that way. So, that's all right, man. You went right into it. You just started off and went straight from zero to the top. See, I wish I could do that. I don't have that kind of skill, but you know, we do what we do. So, Chief, tell me something. How's your relationship with the public now? I mean, knowing that the way things are in law enforcement right now, how do you manage?
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting because across the country, obviously, you know, if you're watching the news, if you're watching the different things that's going on, you know, law enforcement has a very rocky relationship across the country with the general public. And I think that what we have to do is continue to work on how to, you know, make that relationship stronger because, you know, one of the things I often say is we are the public and the public is us. So therefore, we all are one team, we all are one, you know, community, and we have to figure out how to work with each other on that. One way we do it is to create a complete transparency. Be able to let the public see what you do, how you do it, and understand what you do, because I think with that understanding, it helps a whole lot in how you communicate with each other. And that's the second, you know, role that you have to do. You have to be able to communicate really well with your public, which means that you can't wait till an incident happens to want to communicate. You got to be a part of what's going on all along. So when those incidents happen, you already have your relationship with your public in place, and they have a confidence and a trust that you're going to do the right thing and that you're going to make the right approaches.
Right. Now, recently you just had a scenario that you did out of town. Shoot, don't shoot. Tell us a little bit about that. How did that go?
Well, it went excellent, and what it is it was giving the public an opportunity to be the police for a day. We went through a couple hours of classroom, understanding what use of force and deadly force was, you know, just giving a brief history of policing so, you know, people could understand kind of what the police think about, kind of giving them the mindset of how, you know, to be a police for a day. And then we took them through scenarios, real life scenarios that police officers go through. We took them through traffic stop, domestic situations, and we had them be the police for the day. They were all geared up like the police, and they had to respond accordingly.
You gave them guns?
We gave them simunition.
Simunition.
And that's very similar to, it's a gun, look like a gun, feel like a gun, but it shoots like a paintball type substance.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I guess if I was in their shoes, I would really enjoy that. How many of them get a chance to shoot at you guys?
Well, each scenario was set up differently. Some of it was set up where folks were armed. Some of it was set up with, folks were unarmed. But all of it was surprising. Nobody knew what the scenario was going to be beforehand. And the responses sometimes, that they had, kind of created the response from the actor or the officer who was playing the other role. So it was very, very exciting to see the different ways that people responded. It was very, interesting to see that some people responded based on their own experiences and how, things went in their lives, and they responded accordingly.
Right. That's wow. That sounds pretty intense. So let me get this right. So basically, in a scenario, you have it's a police officer driving a car, and the public, whoever the person is, they will pull this person over.
Correct.
And what happens then?
Well, they will pull them over, and the person will get out and respond in a lot of different ways. Where some would respond very calmly, some will respond, to some of the things we do see people, saying, well, why you pull me over? You profiling me, and have that response. Some of them were armed, and some was unarmed. So, but it gave the individual an opportunity to have to react to whatever, folded out in the traffic stop or in a domestic situation, and they had to respond accordingly. And ultimately, in their minds, were how do they survive this situation?
Right. Oh man, that's something that needs to be out there. I mean, I really commend you for doing something like that, because I think that if more people got a chance to really look at a situation like that, be behind the gun, if you will, they would have a better understanding as to what you guys actually go through from day to day, and it's a split-second decision you have to make when that person gets out.
And I think that was the whole premises behind the whole thing. We wanted people to have an opportunity to view it from a different perspective, and not to convince anybody that they should be the police officer, but to give them an opportunity to know what is happening and at least have a better understanding. And so now when we sit at the table and we need to address these issues, we need to address the situations as they come along, that person has a better understanding on how to talk about it. Because if you never walk in somebody's shoes, if you never do what they do, then it's hard to really discuss what they should do. So, not that they will be experts, but it'll at least give them an open understanding and perhaps create a better dialogue when we sit down and have to address these issues.
Right. That goes back to me thinking about, okay, well, somebody say, well, why don't you shoot the gun out their hand? Right. Okay. That's TV.
Right.
This is real. When someone has a gun at you and their hands are going up and down and your emotions are all involved, it's a hard thing. So I think, again, I commend you for that shoot don't shoot scenario, because it gives people a chance to see, not to say that everyone's right and everyone's wrong.
Right.
It's to say, okay, this is what we're going through every day.
Right.
So it's really a tough situation that you guys are in. There are good cops, there are bad cops, but we also have to live in this. So again, I really commend you on that. And we're going to take a break right now, and we'll come back to Chief John Dixon of the Petersburg Police Department. See you in a bit.
Hi, I'm Margot. Join us on The Impact of Reality, Saturdays at 12 noon on WRIC Channel 8, where we will tackle the tough topics of relationships and relational values. So join us. We'll see you then. And
we're back with Chief John Dixon from Petersburg Police Department. Chief, I have a question for you. What kind of relationship do you have with your team? I know you have a lot of guys, a lot of women under you, and you have to support them just as well as they have to support you. How do you manage that? What kind of relationship would you say you have with your team?
Well, it may depend on who you ask what day, but I think overall, what my goal is to make sure I show some good, strong leadership. I set the tone for the organization, and I create an atmosphere that, one, they're comfortable in working in, and they feel comfortable that they can work within that organization without feeling undue pressure, without feeling that politicalness will influence any decisions that I make. And I set the tone for the community that that they trust the officers, that I've set a bar where officers understand that good community policing is the goal and is the key to effective law enforcement. We have to get out there. We have to make sure that the public trusts us. They have to make sure that they trust me. My officers have to make sure that they trust me and they're comfortable with what goes on. Now, in any relationship, everybody's not going to agree with you. Everybody's not going to agree with the decisions you make. But you got to be able to make those hard, stern, strong decisions, and you make them and you go on to the next thing because, it's what I was hired for. It's what I want to do, and it's kind of, the tone I want to set for my organization.
Okay. That sounds good, but like you said, it depends on who you talk to because you can't please everyone. I think you and I kind of laughed about it. You say it's lonesome at the top. It's you have to make those tough decisions, and it's not a personal decision.
Right.
It's a professional decision.
Right.
And when you're making those decisions, you can't think about that particular individual at the time. It's about the situation that you may have put the company in, the department in, people in general. So you have to make decisions to make sure your public is safe. And so when you drop the hammer on someone, it's like, okay, look, you have to correct this. You have to do something better than what you did. And that person has to respect that, just as a team member, then as you being a superior officer, being the top. So I know that it has to be tough on you sometimes, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, to make those decisions. But there's so much that I can commend you on, because I tell you, being a former police officer myself. I can only say I understand, but again, day to day, how do you just do it? How do you? Is there some method you have that makes you different? You might say. What do you do? What do you see when you make those decisions? What drives you?
Well, one of the biggest, I think, things that drive me is wanting to do the right thing, wanting to make sure that whatever I do, whatever decision I make is the best decision I can make based on the information that I have. I have to be concerned about all things. You want to be concerned about the public. You want to be concerned about the organization. You want to be concerned about the individual officer. You have to take all of these things in consideration, and depends on what was done. It depends on what my response is to those things, because ultimately the buck stops with me. Ultimately, I make that decision. That could affect good or bad, or with the public, good or bad with that officer, or good or bad within the organization. So all these things are considered, and I take the information, I evaluate it, I look at what's happening, and then I make a decision based on that. I try to make good, true, strong decisions.
Okay. So, being in law enforcement, what advice would you give someone that really wants to get in to be a police officer, to be a sheriff? What advice would you give them?
Well, first of all, it's a very honorable career. It's something that you go into, and you don't go into it for the money. You don't go into it for the fame and glory. You go into it because you are that person who wants to go in and make a difference. And make a difference, sometimes does that mean you have to arrest people? Yes. But make a difference, sometimes you have to help that child across the street. Sometimes you have to speak to somebody. So making a difference, is a very broad, gamut of things that take place. And you have to go into it with that in mind. Yes, I want to reduce crime, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we lock up as few people as we can, because I like to put programs in place that allow people to make other decisions. Yes, I want to have an opportunity when people, are incarcerated and they come out, that they have an opportunity for success, that we don't keep that, cycle going where they come out, they go back in, they come out. We have to, help them find jobs. We have to help them find, situation. And we got to deal with all publicly. I tell my officers all the time, let's deal with, the public like you would want somebody to deal with your parent. Which means that you have to have a certain approach to it. You don't have to always have an attack mode to things you do. Some of your reactions need to be very, polite, very, how can I help you? You know, and I'm a little old-fashioned when it comes to law enforcement. I still believe we're here to protect and serve the public. So, you know, that's our goal, and that's what all of us should be striving to do constantly.
Right. And as I say, protect and serve, and that's very important. Now, I think that a lot of people are starting to lose that feeling of protection because of what's going on in the world. And I see, again, you're striving to make sure that at least in your area that it stands firm. We're here to protect you. Right. We're not here to ostracize you. We're not here to blame you for anything. We're here to protect you. And all we ask is that you give us that respect, and that we're going to give you the same respect. So just feel free, to come and talk to us. That's just the feeling I get from you, and that's what you're trying to tell the public, tell your public. So again, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate you. I know I can talk from my own. We really appreciate you. So, but with that being said, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with Chief John Dixon.
Lord, give me the strength to make it through this storm.
I think we should toast to Ladies' Night.
Yes. To Ladies' Night. What's up? What's up? I'm here now! I will not sit back and watch anyone else that I love be abused ever again.
Y'all ready to make this move? I am. I looked at myself in the mirror this morning, and the person staring back was a complete stranger. But she looked damn good.
It's been a long time since you cooked the brother breakfast, so I got a little excited.
You're right. He changed the locks. I'll be right here.
Say one more thing and I swear my fist is gonna put the words right back in your mouth. If I ever found a woman who loves you as much as Sid loves you, I was used to loving. My life will be complete, brother. You've never seen me, brother.
I'm not gonna let her go that easy. I got Sam on lock. She ain't going nowhere.
He's not gonna stop. He's not gonna stop unless you're there.
Why don't want a man like you? You are nothing. So stop tripping and get out of that little bitch. Stop! Ow, that hurt. Get off me! Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, I came by and she looked like she didn't even know me. Yeah, I think something seriously going on.
And we're back with Chief John Dixon from Petersburg Police Department. Chief, after 30 some odd years of law enforcement, I know it's taxing, but you said, you have to be able to manage challenges during that time. How would you want to be remembered when you retire? When you say, okay, that's enough, I'm going to call it a day, I'm going to spend time with my family. How would you want to be remembered?
Well, I think the biggest thing I want to be remembered for is the things I've done, things I've set in place. Being, having integrity, being able communicate well with the general public, being a strong leader within an organization, and being what I call a change agent in policing as a whole. Right now we're going through evolution in policing. I mean, with body cameras, with all of the things that are coming about. It's a difference from when I started to where I am now. So I want to be remembered for being a part of that. As you know, one of the things that we're doing is we're doing a play that's focused on how to stop the violence amongst our young people. We are hoping to give them an opportunity to be a part of the play. With the Governor's School in Petersburg being a part of it, having the opportunity for the kids to perform and communicate well to other young people to say, look, we don't have to do this. Here's an opportunity to look at it and cross all barriers and show all of the ills that we do have, and then allowing people the opportunity after that to, talk to somebody about those different things. In our communities, we have concerns about HIV. We'll have a portion, that talks about that. We have concerns about, gun violence. We'll have a portion domestic violence. We have a portion about that, drug abuse. We'll have a portion about that. And then, have somebody that the young people can talk to if they're experiencing these things, even after the play, to have some further conversation. Because if we can save one life, if we can intervene in any kind of way, while we're doing this, that can only be a plus. And it'll be well worth all our efforts and time, for putting into making this difference. So, if I had to be remembered, I want to be remembered, about the good things that were done, and hopefully those things that'll last forever. That'll create a continuous legacy that people 20 years from now, 30 years from now remember back and say, wow, I know who started that. I know, how that was done, and I see the effects of it today. So.
Right. Wow. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. Wow. That's so. With the play about violence, and working with the kids from the Governor's School, and I would say prayerfully going from school to school, college to college, just out in the public, so they can actually see the way this thing really affects people. How to, I guess the way the play is going to be set up, you're going to actually have people that actually has been involved or had to deal with loss to come on and talk to the public or the people that's at the play about what's going on.
Right. One of the portions will be, we would have a group of mothers from that particular area, whatever area we're in at the time, that will have an opportunity to, display a photo of their loved one that was a victim of some kind of heinous or violent crime. And one, they'll be able to, even after the play, as you said, be able to express themselves to some of the people and reach out and say, look, we need help. We need help, one, to stop this senseless violence. We need help, one, to make sure that when these things happen, that people speak out and say what happened, so we can bring it in. One way to bring it into it is that people say who did it, right? And so, hopefully this will generate all of that and galvanize a group of young people to say, what, enough is enough. We want to take back our community. We want to make sure that we're here to make sure we all participate in having a safe community.
Amen. Amen. I tell you, it's hard out there, and I understand trying to get people to talk. They have to be able to cut that bond of silence and just come and tell you what I saw it. I saw baby did it. The baby did this, did whatever. They have to open up their minds and understand that the person that's hurting is not alone. You've hurt a whole family of people. You've hurt friends. You've hurt cousins, nephews. And that's what that play is really about, to let people know they hurt. They hurt. And if we don't stop this unnecessary violence, it's just going to be one of those things where it's going to continue and continue. And until we open our eyes and realize that it's not just an I thing, it's all of us. We have to understand that. So I would just guess that with that play, it has to be something that's going to really hit home with everyone. It's going to really hit home. And I hope that we can get people to come out and really see what you are trying to do. it looks like you're really doing a lot. I mean, shoot, don't shoot, you know, stop the violence, you know, and things that you're doing in your community. I know there's certain places that you go in your community where we've talked about barbershops and things like that. You just go and just to be there, show your presence, let people know that you're there, that you do care. Tell me what's going on in my community.
Well, and I do something I call shop talk, where I go to my barbershops and my hair salons, and if you know, within the African American community, that's where a lot of conversations takes place. And I try to, you know, put myself in there and be part of those conversations. One, so they can ask me questions, you know, instead of, you know, not knowing. Now they can, you know, hear from me what my perspective is of whatever the situation is, which I think is important. And not only that, it gives me an opportunity to know our business owners, to see what their needs are from a business standpoint, and even what their clients' needs are from a community standpoint. Right. So it opens up a lot of doors. When I first started it was very apprehensive. Now I go in, they say, "Hey, Chief, how you doing?" I mean, it's like second nature now. And I think that's what's important for law enforcement to understand. We got to put ourselves out there as well. We got to be a part of it. We want people to come talk to us. You can't just decide, okay, come talk to us when something happens. Let's talk all along. So when something does happen, it's not even an uncomfortable situation. It's a continuous process. Okay. So that's part of why that's important.
Right. Sounds good. I tell you, man, it sounds like you got your hand on it. So, look, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with Chief John Dixon of Petersburg Police Department. We at Planters Harvest want you to meet the movers, the shakers, the ones that won't take no for an answer. Meet the drum beaters, the dream keepers, the true believers, the life shapers, the risk takers. We all have dreams, a place where the sun shines on everything we do, where the world recognizes who we are. Let us at Planters Harvest Incorporated show the world what your dreams truly look like. Let us put your dreams on display. Welcome to the Impact of Reality. I'm your host, LK Harris. Join us right here every Saturday at 12 noon on WRIC TV, Channel 8. See you there. And we're back. Chief John Dixon of Petersburg Police Department. Chief, we'd like to thank you for coming and joining us today. It's been a great conversation. We look forward to having you back sometime soon. And well, I thank you. I mean, you're a great man, and we do appreciate what you do. Thank you so much. So, the impact of reality. We're talking about relationships and relational values. Remember, we all are in relationships here. Just stay focused and do not let people tell you how to run your life. You know what you need to do. Stay focused, trust God, and remember, relationships are valuable, but they only are valuable when you make it that way. Take care. See you next week. Stay blessed.
Closed captioning provided by Planters Harvest Incorporated.